Guess what I put on
I stopped the recording, but I'll resume it. I don't know why it automatically started. Maybe that's the way it's programmed. Okay.
ideally what would you love to see as topic? Story. If I were to eat any piece of cheese,
Good morning, everyone. We are going to get started here in just about a minute. We're just letting everybody join in.
So we cover. There you go. Yeah, I'll do one just before you want to keep up. Okay. That works good.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. We're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to start our recording. And we're so glad that you're here. So good afternoon and welcome to our webinar on getting started with myPATH. I'm Cindy Nellis with the Penn West Clarion Small Business Development Center, and we're just glad that you're here. Today, we'll be discussing how to get started with the Department of Revenue's new self-service portal called myPATH. We will cover what type of profile users should be creating, as well as how to successfully register, gain access to both personal and business-related accounts, and explain what features are available through the portal, both as a logged-in user or non-logged-in user. Before we get started, let me review with you a few reminders. Following today's webinar, you will receive the presentation slides, both mine and Alicia's, our webinar series flyer, so that you can join us for our other webinars and the recording of today's webinar. All participants have been muted and your video disabled. So if you have a question for our presenter, please enter them in the Q&A. If you have questions for me, your host, you can enter them in the chat. Let me just forward my slides. This is the flyer that you'll be receiving, and then our reminders for today. And then just note that today's webinar is being recorded, as I mentioned. I'd like to introduce you to the Small Business Development Center first, before we get started. We are a grant-funded program with a mission to help businesses start, grow, and succeed. We provide education, information, and tools to help businesses make better business decisions. We do this through our business consulting services and our training. Our consulting services are being provided in person, as well as remotely by phone and email and virtual. We offer training seminars on a variety of topics that target the needs of small businesses. And to us, a small business is for-profit and generally a business with less than 500 employees. We also use our funding to provide access to database information and resources related to conducting industry and market research, financial analysis, and the implementation of marketing strategies. The SBDC partners with many economic development organizations to help connect you, our business owners, to many more resources to help you start and grow. One more piece of information about the Small Business Development Center. We here in Pennsylvania, We are made up of 15 centers, all located at institutions of higher education. We're a part of the Americas SBDC, a national network that enables individuals and businesses all over the country to access our program services in their neighborhood. This is information about how to connect with the SBDC, sign up for us, our consulting services. We encourage you to check out our information. I've provided you with our statewide website as well as mine. And we encourage you to get to connect with us. While we have 15 centers, there's no wrong doors. So I give you our email address, our phone number here at the Penn West Clarion SBDC, as well as my email address. So feel free to connect with us in any way. So I'd like to introduce you to our speaker. Alicia Gons has over 12 years of experience working with the Pennsylvania Department of Revenue. She currently works as the chief of the Customer Outreach Relations and Engagement Division within the Customer Experience Center. She is responsible for developing relationships with external stakeholders and coordinating any outreach and education initiatives provided by the department. Alicia began her career as a tax account collections technician, working in the Collections and Taxpayer Services call center and moving into various roles throughout the collections and customer service. Her work experience has provided her with a vast knowledge of Pennsylvania tax administration and the inner workings of the department, which she uses to provide positive experiences for the department's customers and stakeholders. So with that, Alicia, I will stop sharing and turn it over to you.
Thanks so much, Cindy. Let me make sure I can share. Everything look good?
Looks great.
Awesome. Thank you. Well, good afternoon, everyone. As Cindy mentioned, my name's Alicia Gons. I am the chief of our Customer Outreach Relations and Engagement Division within the Customer Experience Center here at the Department of Revenue. In simpler terms, that means my area handles the outreach and education efforts provided by the department. We have created this module to help you all understand how to get started with myPATH, which is our new customer service portal, and talk to you all about what self-service options are out there. This slide here shows our agenda for today. So you can see that we're going to cover a quick overview of our modernization project. Next, I'll explain what non-logged in functions are out there, meaning what you can do without actually creating a myPATH profile. We'll then talk through the additional functions that are available if you do set up your myPATH profile with a username and a password. And then finally, we'll wrap it up with some resources should you have questions after today's presentation. I do have some friends at the department on the line as well to help with questions. So if you have questions throughout the presentation, please feel free to type them in the chat. If we're getting a lot of the same questions, they are welcome to interrupt me so that we can talk about it out loud. Also, I imagine we'll have some time at the end of the presentation to talk through anything that we might need to cover at that point. All right, so overview of modernization. For those of you who don't know, the Pennsylvania Department of Revenue completed a tax system modernization project over the past few years. This project was broken into 5 rollouts, but the ultimate goal was to have a single tax system to seamlessly administer Pennsylvania tax accounts. And in addition, the department wanted a single place for our customers to access their tax accounts and perform self-service options. Prior to this project, we had several standalone systems, and we had a personal income tax e-services, as well as eTithes, which was our business tax e-services. And as you can imagine, sometimes things weren't exactly talking to one another, or we were having issues like connecting a transaction that happened in one system to something that happened into another system. So again, creating this singular place to administer taxes was our ultimate goal, and we were able to achieve that on budget and on time. So this slide here shows you the first 4 rollouts. You can see that rollout 1 went live in January of 2019 with the implementation of motor and alternative fuel taxes. also the International Fuel Tax Agreement, or IFTA tax. We did want to keep the first rollout small to kind of get our feet wet and then build up to the bigger rollouts. Rollout 2 then went live in October of 2019 with the implementation of realty transfer tax, inheritance tax, medical marijuana tax, and a case management solution for our voluntary disclosure program. Rollout 3 was one of our biggest rollouts. This one went live in November of 2020 with the implementation of personal income tax and related pass-through entity processing, in addition to the property tax rent rebate program. And then rollout 4 went live in August of 2021, and it included the implementation of 6 tax programs, all of which had their own standalone systems. And this included the cigarette non-participating manufacturer, cigarette stamp tax, including fire safe certification, tavern games, pari-mutuel wagering tax, and then 2 specialty corp taxes, which were the agricultural cooperative tax and the electric cooperative tax. Finally, rollout 5 happened on November 30th of 2022. So if you were in business prior to that date, most likely this rollout impacted you the most. This implementation was for business taxes, including employer withholding tax, sales tax, corporation taxes, and any remaining miscellaneous taxes. So I believe there were over 40 different tax types that were included in rollout 5. Additionally, rollout 5 replaced eTides, which was the previous filing and payment system for business taxpayers, as well as the Pennsylvania Online Business Entity Registration Form, or PA 100, which was used for functions such as registering a sales tax license or opening a new tax account. So a lot of changes happened with our last rollout for businesses. With that rollout, the eTides functionality was gradually transitioned into myPATH. So this means customers who were using the services offered through eTides, such as filing returns and making payments, had to begin using myPATH to complete these tasks or manage their accounts. The Department of Revenue had sent email notifications directly to eTides users to help prepare them for the transition, and to let them know what specific actions they needed to take in order to transition their accounts over to myPATH. We also published detailed information on our website regarding the transition and included information in other communications as well. So this slide here shows the eTides replacement timeline, or what dates different items were being phased out. If you look closely, you will see that eTides customers can still view their filing history through August of 2023, but all other transactions must be completed through myPATH at this point. We did ensure that some of the services were still available in parallel with myPATH for 90 days. So this means we're encouraging customers to use myPATH, but if they were having issues, they were still able to perform certain transactions in eTides during this window of time. If you are or were an eTides user, we did try to make it as easy as possible to transition to the new portal. So whereas eTides users still had to create a myPATH profile, those users were allowed to use the same username and password that they had for eTides when getting started with myPATH. We also made it so that new profiles no longer were required to obtain an access letter. So if you used myPATH prior to rollout 5, maybe for your personal income taxes, you may know that all customers had to acquire an access letter during that time in order to fully establish their account. That caused a lot of headaches for our customers, so we tried to eliminate that need for the access letter wherever possible. The only time that the letter is still required is if the customer has federal tax information on their account or they are unable to validate when requesting access. So we're going to talk about that a little bit more later on, but hopefully that doesn't include too many customers. Again, we tried to keep that access letter requirement to a minimum. The next thing that we did was make it so clients no longer have to create a profile in order to grant third-party access. This means if you have a tax professional who handles filing and or paying on your behalf, they can access your tax accounts without you having to create a user profile. Previously, we were requiring that the customer or tax account owner create a primary user profile in order to grant that access to their third party, but that is no longer the case. So again, as long as your tax professional can validate your accounts, they can gain that access. And then the last bullet point that we have here is that users have the ability to migrate their existing eTides access to myPATH. This mostly applies to third-party users who were associated with several clients in eTides. We have improved that process to allow them to pull over all of their clients at the same time by entering in their eTides information. If you are a primary user or the tax account owner, gaining access looks a little bit different. The system automatically identifies what tax accounts are associated with your tax ID, and then you just click a button to add access to that account, which we'll show later on in the presentation. If you are a primary user or the owner of the tax account, creating your account does look a little different after rollout 5. So you do need to create your profile by selecting the sign up link on myPATH. Then you will be prompted to enter your tax ID number. So this is either your FEIN, your SSN, your PATH ID, or your revenue ID, and then the tax type that you wish to access. So if you have multiple taxes, say you have sales and employer and corporate tax, upon setting up your actual profile, you only have to select one of those tax accounts and validate them. In order to validate, you will need a recent payment amount on the specified tax type, a return line item for that specified tax type, a PATH letter ID, or the myPATH online registration confirmation code. So again, as long as you can validate a line item on a return, a payment amount, or a letter ID, you can gain access to your account without an access letter. If for some reason you cannot validate your own tax account, then there is an option to request an access letter. So you would just select an indicator, which we're going to see later on, and it'll send an access letter to your house in order to finish establishing your profile. Once again, if you have federal tax information on your account, you must request and verify your access letter in order to gain that access. So federal tax information is basically any exchange of information. The IRS provided information to the Department of Revenue about your tax account. And now we have an indicator on your account that there is an extra level of verification required in order to gain that access. This is most common, I would say, with personal income tax customers, some corporate tax accounts. But if you just have sales and employer, typically it shouldn't be an issue for you. All right. Sorry, I was just checking to see if there was anything out there in the chat yet. I accidentally hit a button. All right. So the next thing the department did was reduce the number of taxes supported by the telefile system. So telefile is a toll-free service that allows taxpayers to file their tax returns and make payments over the phone. This is primarily used by customers who don't have access to the internet, whether that be for religious reasons or because they live in an area where the service is not provided. These changes were made as the department decided to remove the options that had very low usage rates. So this included things like capital stock, a lot of your gross premiums or gross receipts taxes. Additionally, things like shares tax, unstampable little cigar, and vehicle rental tax were removed, as well as a few others. Some of the more frequent functionality does still exist, such as filing and paying sales tax, PTA tax, or employer withholding. Additionally, you can still pay your corporate net income tax and make payments using your notice ID. I will warn you that the department decided to sunset telefile at the end of the year. So if this is a platform that you use, please try to familiarize yourself with myPATH. Again, if you have a preparer, they can file and pay on your behalf. Or if you have a smartphone, myPATH is compatible with all devices. So you can do everything that we're going to talk about today right from your cell phone, so long as you have the mobile data or access to a Wi-Fi connection that lets you get to your browser and complete the transactions. As I mentioned, business registration has changed as well. So Pennsylvania businesses that need to register for their business tax accounts have a new online system to complete that registration process. myPATH has replaced the old PA 100, so customers will need to use the new platform going forward. I think if you type in pa100.state.pa.us, it will let you go there, but then it redirects you over to myPATH. The new myPATH registration does include all of the tax types that were included in the previous PA 100 application. It also includes the ability to register for corporate net income tax, corporation specialty taxes, and other withholding taxes, which is new. So you can view a full list of what you're able to register for by clicking on the hyperlink that says Pennsylvania Online Business Tax Registration. And that is available directly from the myPATH homepage. Please be aware that you will still need to contact the Department of State if you are registering for a corporation to secure that corporate name clearance or register for the corporate tax purposes. You can initiate the process and start your tax account here with the Department of Revenue, but it doesn't eliminate that need to go to the Department of State. Additionally, PA Department of Revenue and PA Department of Labor and Industry do share this application, but unemployment compensation must be paid to the Department of Labor and Industry. So that hasn't changed. Tyler, I'm probably beating my coworkers to this, but I see there's a question out there that says, is this registration of the new business or just for tax after the business is registered? So that's something I was going to cover, or I will cover, but essentially this panel here is for those brand new businesses that do not have a tax account associated with us. And then there's a logged in function if you're just trying to add an additional tax account. All right, so let's talk about these non-logged in functions. Again, when we refer to non-logged in functions, we're referring to things that you can do without creating your username and password. For any of these items, the first thing you need to do is go to mypath.pa.gov, which will take you directly to the myPATH homepage. So this screen here kind of shows you what that myPATH homepage looks like. For this first part, you want to scroll past the black login box that's in that top right-hand corner. And then you're going to look at the panels underneath that have all of those hyperlinks. The first panel that you're going to see is the payments panel. So you can see here, you can make a payment, track payments and credits, and view information on how to set up a payment plan. I will warn you that most of the non-logged in functionality is tailored to individual tax customers. A lot of the business tax transactions require you to log in. But you did have to log in for eTides to perform those functions as well. So the department decided to keep that the same. I would say as a business tax customer, you would most likely visit this panel to pay a bill. So if you get a letter or a bill in the mail from the Department of Revenue, it will have a letter ID on the top right-hand corner. As long as you have that letter ID, you will be able to pay your bill without logging in to your profile. Tracking payments and credits would also be extremely valuable for business tax customers or sole proprietors who want to see what payments or credits they have sitting out there. And then how to set up a payment plan gives you some general information regarding our terms and conditions, but it will require you to actually log in to set up that payment plan. So because it is account specific and it does look across all of your tax accounts, setting up the payment plan is a logged in feature. The returns panel is, of course, where you would go to file a specific return. So you can see here, file a personal income tax return, The second option is asking if you want to file that personal income tax return in Spanish. So we're trying to expand our what languages that we publish information in. So Spanish is the first one that we're dipping our toes into here. The next option you're going to see is how to file business tax returns. So again, most of business tax functionality is logged in. So once you click that hyperlink, it's going to prompt you to log into your account before you can proceed. You can, however, file a use tax return, or you can verify your 1099-G or 1099-I&T for any overpayment or interest that you may have received from the department. The next panel, which I know I talked about a little bit already, is our registration panel. What I was going to say is that you would use this panel if you are a brand new business. So if you're an existing entity, say you have a sales tax account and you're trying to add employer withholding, there is an option to do that while logged in. We're going to talk about that when we get into the logged in features. But if you are brand new, just getting started, you don't have any tax accounts with Pennsylvania, you're going to go to the homepage, use this Pennsylvania online business tax registration hyperlink. And then once that's completed, you'll get a confirmation code, which you can use to either create your profile or check the status of your registration. I would say sometimes this whole proprietors get confused when they are trying to register for tax accounts because they think like, I don't have any tax accounts open and this registration process is giving me an error. That is because you have your personal income tax account that's already established with the Pennsylvania Department of Revenue. So in that case, you would create your primary user profile, linking to your personal income tax account, and then add your additional tax account from there. So hopefully that makes sense to everybody. The next panel on our homepage is our rebates panel. This is where you can file a property tax rent rebate application, as well as check the status of a submitted application. Like returns, we strongly encourage that taxpayers and rebate applicants submit their forms electronically when possible. Automatic calculators reduce any mathematical errors, and supporting documentation can be uploaded along with your return or your application. This is by far the quickest way to get forms to the department for processing. So again, if you are a person who files for a property tax or rent rebate each year, please make sure that you take advantage of this electronic option for submitting that application. The refunds panel is used to check the status of your personal income tax refund. So you will need your tax year, refund amount, and Social Security number that the refund is tied to in order to use this function. So the next panel is our identity verification panel. So this is used anytime the department wants to verify that a taxpayer or a return is legitimate to help prevent any identity theft or refund fraud. From time to time, the department may send out one of two forms of identity verification notices to our taxpayers. They'll either request that the taxpayer take an identity verification quiz, which includes questions pertaining to them specifically, or they'll be given a code in a letter which they'll need to go out and enter. Both of those letters will point them to the myPATH homepage, to where you'll have to find the identity verification panel and then click on the appropriate link to complete that transaction. If you do receive one of these notices, please do not panic. There are several different things that can trigger the notice, and the department is just trying to take precautionary measures. So we're trying to proactively make sure that nobody intercepts a refund that they're not supposed to. Doesn't mean that our flags are necessarily right, but we'd rather be safe than sorry. So again, don't panic if you get one of those letters. The additional services panel is a pretty important one for interacting with the department. So the first hyperlink here is respond to a letter. This is the best way to contact the department in response to your notice. So if the notice is asking for additional information, you will be able to upload it right from here. You will have to have your letter ID from the notice and your EIN or Social Security number for the customer. And that's to make sure that that correspondence gets posted to the correct account. But please, 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 if you are responding to a letter, use this respond to a letter feature from our website if you are able to do so. Next, we have find a submission. So you'll need to provide your email address and the confirmation code that you received at the end of your transaction if you want to go confirm that something was successfully submitted. This feature, I would say, is often used for like payments or personal income tax customers who maybe start their return and then they saved a draft and they want to finish it later. I would say those are probably the two most common scenarios where somebody does find a submission. Tax due dates will show you a return due date schedule depending on the account type, filing frequency, and period start and end dates that you input into the system. You may also retrieve printable copies of your W-2 from this panel. The penalty and interest calculator is also found here. And then last but not least, you may track your inheritance tax return. Unfortunately, the actual inheritance tax returns still have to be filed with the Register of Wills, but you are able to track the status through myPATH. The tax compliance panel houses the option to pay off a lien or request a corporate lien certificate. So if you're not familiar with the corporate lien certificate, it is a document that's issued by the Department of Revenue, which reflects corporation tax liabilities for the named entity. A lien certificate is not a substitute for a corporate tax clearance or a bulk sale clearance certificate. However, if this is something that you do need to acquire, please be aware that there is a $2 fee associated, which does still need to be mailed into the department. From what I understand, we explored the option to make this ACH, but the cost far outweighed just sending in a $2 check. So we kind of left it at that for now. And then the last panel on the homepage is the Learn More panel. So this panel has links for resources, many of which we're going to cover here at the end of the presentation. The first link says myPATH video tutorials. So these are Revenue 411 instructional videos. Basically, we've created like step-by-step videos to walk you through performing many myPATH functions. The link to the customer service center takes you to our online customer service center where you can view thousands of frequently asked questions. Tax forms and instructions takes you directly to the forms section of our site, and then contact us gives you contact information, including phone numbers, district office information, mailing addresses, etc. All of those resources can be found directly from the Department of Revenue's website, which is revenue.pa.gov. All right, so now let's talk about the logged in function. Again, everything that we just talked about, available right from the homepage. Now for logged in functions, the first thing you need to do is create a primary user profile. So from the homepage, you'll want to navigate to that black login box on the top left hand of the screen and click the sign up button. Next, you'll see a screen that shows you what you can do without signing up, what additional options are available if you do sign up, and what criteria that you need to successfully create your profile. On this page, you can either click the sign up button or you can click the next button. They'll both essentially take you to the same page. From there, you will see the electronic correspondence and communications agreement. We ask that you read through the terms and conditions and then click the box saying that you agree, and then you'll select next. You will need to fill in your profile information, phone number, and then select no to being a third-party tax professional. So that identification panel is the most important panel when creating your myPATH profile. If you are a person who handles taxes for somebody else, so you're a tax professional, you're filing returns or making payments on behalf of somebody else, you would hit yes, and you will end up creating a third-party user profile. But I believe most of this audience is actual business owners or sole proprietors. So you're going to hit no in that identification panel, and you'll create that primary user profile. After selecting no, you're going to need to choose an identification type. You will have the option to choose from the federal employer ID number, your PATH ID, your revenue ID number, or your social security number. I would assume that most often new business owners will be selecting either their FEIN or their social security number. In our example, we're just going to type in an FEIN. And then once you've selected your federal employer ID from the dropdown, entered the appropriate ID number, you will then need to enter your business name exactly as it is for the department's records. As a word of advice, this should be the legal name of the business. I believe that eTides was driven by the DBA name or doing business as name, but that is not the case for myPATH. It is the legal name of the business. Additionally, if the entity is a sole proprietor, you simply need to enter the last name on the line. So that was an enhancement that was made after go live. Sole proprietors, just the last name, and it should let you proceed. Make sure that you don't check the box stating that you represent a financial institution reporting inheritance tax unless that is truly the case. And then you'll click next to proceed. On this next screen, you're going to be presented with the account validation. Here you have to choose the account type that you're trying to gain access to. One thing to keep in mind is that myPATH is driven by tax type. So you will need to add access to each tax account. If you have a personal income tax, a sales tax, and an employer withholding account, those are 3 different account types, essentially, that you could be gaining access to. So you're going to select one of your account types and hit submit. For our example, we selected corporate net income tax, and then you'll see that it asks for the account validation method. The validation methods can be a letter ID, the online business registration confirmation number, a recent payment amount, or a return line item. Please keep in mind that myPATH will not accept 0 for a recent payment amount or a return line item. So you're going to have to use one of the other options in order to validate and gain access. If you cannot validate using the methods outlined, you will need to request an access letter in order to gain access to the tax account. So again, only 2 situations where you need an access letter: either A, there is federal tax information on the account, or B, you are not able to validate your own tax account, then we need that access letter. It's just an extra layer of security. Lori, I see that you have a question out here that says, on identification, what if I added business name when I should have done last name instead? Can that be fixed after the fact? I submitted registration on 5/4, no letter received yet. So Lori, I'm assuming that you did the online business registration and you were trying to sign up as a sole proprietor, is that correct? I'll leave that out there for my helpers to get back to you. And then if we need to talk about it out loud, we can definitely do that then. All right, so in our example, we selected return line item. We entered the exact amount on the line provided. After we completed the necessary fields, myPATH asked if we would like to opt in for electronic mail delivery. You can choose whichever one of those options that you like, and then you'd hit submit at the bottom of the screen. Once that's done, you're going to receive a confirmation screen that advises you to now log in with your new username and password. I'll hit OK right there, and it's going to take you back out to that black login box where you'll enter your username and password, and then you're going to click log in. Once you've done that, you need to set up a 2-step verification. So 2-step verification, added layer of security. Anytime that you use a new device, it's going to require you to enter in a confirmation code, essentially, just confirming that you are who you say you are. To retrieve that code, you can either use an authentication app, a text message, or an email. I personally am a fan of text message. So for example, we're going to select add phone. And then you're going to enter the phone number that you want your authentication code sent to. This does not have to be the same number that you entered when you created your profile. So if when you first started setting up your user profile, you put in your business phone number, but you want this security code to go to your cell phone, you can just enter your cell phone number here and it won't cause any issues. Once you get that code, you're going to enter it on the line and hit confirm. And then you'll need to enter your first and last name as well as the secret question and answer. Additionally, you have the option to add a secondary phone number or set up due date reminders, but that is not required. And those are both items that you can do at a later time. So especially due date reminders, I personally find it easier to get my profile set up and then go in and set up my due date reminders. Once you click save, so you validated everything, you will be logged into your user profile and you're going to be immediately defaulted to the summary tab. So if you look in the top left of the screen, you're going to see that I am Mizuto Enterprises and I am defaulted to the summary tab. The first item on the summary tab will be the tax account that you validated. So if you remember, I validated corporate net income tax. That's why I can see all of those details. If you look beneath that, you can see that I have additional tax accounts, but I actually need to add access to this account before I can perform any transactions for those tax types. So the system is intuitive enough to know, hey, Mizuto Enterprises has additional tax accounts. We validated corporate net income tax. Now, primary user, do you want to go in and add access to these other accounts? And it really is just going in and clicking that button and clicking confirm to the level of access that you want. And that's what this screen here is showing you. So once you click that account, add account access, you're going to have to click the type of access, file returns and make payments is always going to be the highest level of access. So it defaults to that highest level. I would personally recommend that you leave it on the highest level since you are the primary account owner so that you can see whatever you want. But if you, for some reason you want to change it, you absolutely can. Do keep in mind that if you are trying to add access to license accounts, it's going to say view only, I believe. So like sales tax license, you will only have the option to view access only. And that's because it really is just viewing your license account. The actual like filing and paying is going to be under your sales and use tax account. And then you're going to click save and you'll see it on that summary tab. The next login feature that I would say is pretty important for business owners is requesting a statement of account. So when you're on that main screen, if you click the More tab at the top of the screen, you're going to go to that first panel that's called the Accounts panel, and there is a hyperlink to request statements of account. Then you'll have the option to select a statement of account for any of the tax accounts that you want that statement for. So you will need a separate statement for sales versus employer versus corp. Just use the box to check whatever ones you want, and then you're going to hit save. Today, we're going to request corporate, employer, and sales. And then you're going to receive a confirmation screen advising that your statements are available in the letters section of your profile. So here you'll click OK to be routed back out to your profile page and access that letters panel. After clicking OK on the confirmation screen, like I said, you're coming out to the main page. There's letters panel, and then you're going to click that hyperlink to view letters. Once you've done that, you will see those statement of accounts that you requested right away. So if you were an eTides user, you know that requesting a statement of account took 24 hours previously. Now the information is available right away. When you do go into your view letters, anything that's bold is something that you haven't clicked on before, so it's brand new. And anything that is not bold, obviously you viewed at some point. You can always look in your archived messages, and I think if the message is more than 20, the letter's more than 12 months old, you have to go in and actually search for it. So once you've clicked on your statement of account, it's going to pop up in a format that you can either print or save to your computer. The next pretty important feature for business owners is sending a message. Once again, when you're logged in, you're going to locate the message panel under the More tab. You're going to select the option to send a message. And then you'll be taken to a new screen where you need to select the appropriate hyperlink depending on the type of question. If you are a third party, you're going to have multiple businesses here. Or if you have additional businesses, you could be a primary with additional businesses associated with your profile. You're going to click the business that you want to send the message regarding, or you click the option that says it doesn't concern a specific business. Then you're going to have to select the tax account that you want, or again, you can click that first hyperlink that says it's not specific to a tax account. And then you'll drill down to the period, and you'll be able to type in your subject, write your message, and include any attachments that you may want to include for the department. Again, highly recommend that you take advantage of this option. It puts the information directly on your account, directly into a workflow to where our representatives are working it. So there is no it getting lost in the mail. Maybe we didn't see it. Again, fastest and most efficient way to communicate with the department. If you're sending in information regarding a notice you received, use the respond to a letter feature. If you need to send us a message for something else, definitely use the send a message feature available as a logged in functionality. Once you get that message sent, you're going to receive a confirmation screen saying that it was sent successfully. The next thing that you can do as a business owner is request a payment plan. So once you're logged into your homepage, you're going to find the payments and returns panel, select the option to request a payment plan, read through the terms and conditions, and then you'll click next. If for some reason you're not eligible for a payment plan, you're going to get an error message right away that says you can't set up a payment plan, and then potential reasons why. Some reasons may include that there are no balances that qualify for the payment plan. There could already be a payment plan in place. You could be in a bankruptcy status. There's several different things that could say or cause you to not qualify for a payment plan. At that point, you definitely have the option to contact the Customer Experience Center, and we can try to sort things out for you. If you are eligible for a payment plan, you will be able to enter your banking information. So this includes your bank type, your routing number, and your account number. In this column, if any balances have a no to the in collections, you will only be able to set up a payment plan of 6 months or less. If all indicators show yes in the collections column and the total balance is less than $50,000, a payment plan of up to 24 months may be submitted. If your total balance is over $50,000, regardless of whether it says yes or no, you will have the option to contact the department to establish a payment agreement. The down payment is optional, and it will not count as being the first installment that is needed to be paid within 30 days. So anytime you set up a payment plan, you have to make your first payment within 30 days. Again, if you make a down payment, say you make a down payment for, today is the 10th, say you make a down payment for the 15th, the 30 days starts as of May 10th. It doesn't start as of May 15th. After you enter whether you want to make a down payment, your first payment date, you'll then be required to enter the number of payments that you are looking to make. Please note that if you receive an error, you're not going to be able to continue if you don't select an installment date that's within 30 days, or if you've entered a number of payments that's not allowed by the department. So if it's, 25 that you entered in for that number of payments, it's going to give you an error. All right, so since the balance that I'm requesting a payment plan for is under 41,000, I had a yes indicator in collections. I am able to set it up for the maximum amount of payments, which is 24. You can see here on the screen, this is what it would look like if I tried to type in 25. It does pop up with this hyperlink that says request an extended payment plan. That hyperlink gives you more information for like why you got that error message and how to contact the department. It also tells you that you're probably going to need financial statements if it's more than 24 months. So just read through that. If you think any of it may apply, make sure that you get those forms filled out and then contact the department to set up a payment plan. If you are setting up a payment plan that complies with our standard options, you will then need to enter or confirm that the information you previously entered is correct. Review that the plan schedule is looks good to you. And then you'll also need to select yes or no if you'd like to receive notices regarding the payment plan and that you agree to the conditions. I think it actually makes you say yes, that you agree to receive the notices and you agree to the conditions in order for you to be able to move forward. Once again, you get this confirmation screen. Make sure that you read the wording in the confirmation statement. Any payment plan that is submitted for longer than 12 months will have to be reviewed by our payment plan unit. Just to ensure that we agree with everything, make sure that it is approved. If for any reason it is denied or there are any questions, somebody from our payment plan unit will reach out to you directly. Most of the time, if you are setting it up within our standard terms and conditions, you shouldn't have any issues. But in cases where we need additional documentation, we will reach out to you. And then our last section here, I know we're starting to get close on time. I'm just going to talk to you through some resources that are out there to help you with navigating myPATH. So first and foremost, we have our tax update newsletter. We do try to publish information as it becomes available. So if there are any changes, any enhancements, which we are doing a lot of enhancements post rollout 5, we are trying to publish that information in the tax update. So you can definitely sign up to receive these tax updates. They are a bi-monthly e-newsletter. Just go to the revenue website and then click for sign up or register now under the sign up for new updates. We also have created a myPATH information page. So this is a page on our website that is exclusive to myPATH information. We are trying to keep this as updated and valid as possible at all times. So we've created a vanity URL, revenue.pa.gov/myPATH information to get customers right to the resources that they need. As I mentioned before, we do have Revenue 411 videos. These are small little YouTube videos that literally show you step-by-step tutorials of how to do something in myPATH. You can share these if you are a tax professional or a bookkeeper with your clients, but we have created yet another vanity URL, revenue.pa.gov/videos, or if you go to our main website, there is an icon down the center of the screen that says videos. It'll take you right here and you can see all of the different myPATH videos that are out there. We are constantly adding new videos. So again, if it's something that you're having issues with, please check out there first before waiting on hold or going through the process of sending a message to the department. We're trying to proactively get as much information to our customers as we can. Pathfinder is another source of myPATH information. So anytime you are on myPATH, in the top right-hand corner, you'll see this little icon. This is our chatbot feature. So we named him Pathfinder. He is there. He is truly a virtual assistant. So there is no like human being on the end of it. We train him to handle myPATH specific questions. So always growing, always learning, always new information available. We are trying to make it as user-friendly as possible. So definitely a good resource to try to get your answers if you're having issues with using myPATH. The last thing that I really want to mention here is the support ID. So if for some reason you are really stuck with myPATH and you need to contact the Department of Revenue, we have stood up a myPATH assistance line, which you can see on the screen. So 717-425-2495, extension 72841 is a line specifically designed to provide myPATH assistance. If you call into that line, having this support ID is extremely helpful for both you and our representatives. So again, top right-hand corner, there's a little question mark icon right before or right beside that Pathfinder chatbot. If you click the question mark, a box will pop out to where you'll select that view support ID. I would wait till you actually have the representative on the phone to click the button. But then it tells you it will allow a support person to view your session. So essentially providing that support ID to our agent allows us to remote view in and kind of see what you were doing in myPATH, where you're struggling, what you're clicking on. So that way we can say, oh no, it looks like you're clicking over there. Here's what you need to do instead. Or, you know, we can just try to provide better customer service to you. And with that, I think I covered everything. I see there's a few questions sitting out here still. So Steph, Jason, Don, is there anything you guys think we need to address out loud here?
I don't know that there's anything we need to address. I'm not sure that Maureen Barnon's questions have all been answered. So I'm not sure with that. Cindy, can they come off mute? Can they come off?
Yes, I can unmute them.
Okay.
I'll just do it one-on-one.
So does Maureen have anything else?
Let me go ahead and unmute her. Maureen, would you like to unmute and chat with our team of experts?
She did put in the Q&A that she doesn't have any questions and she doesn't have a microphone, so I think she's okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Well, if everything was answered, I will make sure that we get this PowerPoint to Cindy, share out with everyone. If there are any additional questions, feel free to contact us. Again, we have the myPATH phone line on here. There is that send a message feature. And you know, if worse comes to worse, Cindy, you know how to reach me. So just let me know if you guys have any concerns. So thank you all for your time today.
Great. I'm just going to launch our poll that we always do at the end of our webinars. If you could quickly it's just a one question poll. And while you are doing that, I just want to say thank you to Alicia for being with us today and her team of experts. It's always great to have all that support when I know we have lots of questions. As a reminder, you will be receiving the slides, the recording, as well as the flyer. And we hope that you join us for the next couple of webinars in our series. And we do want to thank the Department of Revenue for partnering with the Pennsylvania SBDC in presenting these valuable and important topics to all of you, our business owners. So thank you. I'll be sending out an evaluation email shortly, and we're looking for feedback on today's webinar as well as any other type of training that you're looking for. Thanks again, Alicia, and your team, and we will see you back here next month for Sales Tax Basics. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Cindy.